As I've studied the scriptures over the years, one of the most fascinating topics concerning God in the Bible is the glory of God. God's glory is one of the most fascinating subjects, and a kind of a complicated subject concerning God as well. We know in Romans 3:23, for all have fallen short of the glory of God. But we also know, in 1 Corinthians, that we're to do all for the glory of God. So somehow God's glory is connected with his holiness, with his character, with who he is, but it is also connected as well with the beauty of who he is. And in John chapter 17, which I'm going to look at this Sunday in my sermon, it talks about as well that somehow not only is God's glory talking about his holiness, his perfections, that it's also talking about growing closer in unity with him. Because somehow we're going to share with God's glory. But we're sharing that even right now. 2 Corinthians 3:18, we're being transformed from one glory to another. And so the way that we can actually experience God's holiness right now, one way that we can do all for the glory of God right now, is to pursue a holy relationship with God. To grow in our sanctification, to grow in our holiness, out of a love of what Christ has done for us, out of a love of who God the Father is on our behalf. And so glory, this is a glorious term, but glory in one way or another is relating to God's holiness, but is also relational as well. God doesn't share his glory with anyone else. I mean, it's incomparable. But somehow and in some way, we'll actually experience his glory. Not to the extent that he has it in himself, but we will be able to experience that in some ways. We get to experience that even right now because we're Christians, but in the future, when we're glorified, when we're completely holy, we'll experience his glory even more, and in some way, that's going to mean that we're going to be even closer with God. As John wrote, when Jesus came to earth, God tabernacled with man, and we beheld his glory. Now, can you imagine one day in eternity where it says in the book of Revelation there's going to be no need of the sun or the moon for God's glory, the Son's glory, Jesus' glory will illuminate everything. And no matter where we are, we'll be able to see his glory, and we're going to be glorified ourselves. And so in some way and somehow, God's glory, especially in the future, is going to be an opportunity to be able to delve in even deeper to who God is and experience him more, where John 17:3, that will be the epitome of eternal life. To know the Father and to know the Son whom the Father has sent. That is eternal life. That is enjoying his glory. Thank you for joining me, and I pray as I try to understand that you will understand more of God's glory and what that means for your life right now. Thank you again for joining me.